3 hours. That's how long Cameron stayed after we both knew this was a mistake. The bar was called Neon Dreams. Stupid name. The kind of place college kids go to feel dangerous without actually risking anything. I went because my roommate Samuel dragged me out of our apartment where I'd been rotting for 2 weeks after bombing my engineering midterms. Cameron was standing by the bar. Tall. Confident. The kind of effortlessly masculine that made my stomach flip. I was dressed like myself that night. Crop top showing my stomach. Skinny jeans that might have been women's, but who's counting? Eyeliner sharp enough to kill. Being a femboy isn't drag. It's not performance. It's just me existing with my specific blend of masculine and feminine that makes sense to exactly nobody except myself. Our eyes met across the too loud music. He smiled. I smiled back. Simple as chemistry. You're beautiful, he said when he got close enough for me to hear. Something in my chest cracked open. We talked for maybe 20 minutes. Surface stuff. What we studied. Where we grew up. The kind of getting to know you that feels like foreplay when there's chemistry involved. Cameron touched my arm when he laughed. I touched his shoulder when I leaned in to hear him better over the bass. Want to get out of here? He asked. Yes. God, yes. I wanted to get out of there since before I arrived. His apartment was nicer than mine. No roommate. Actual furniture instead of crates and stolen dorm chairs. We barely made it through the door before his mouth was on mine. I'm not going to describe what happened next. This isn't that kind of story. What I will say is that Cameron touched me like I was something precious and called me beautiful 3 more times. Made me feel seen in ways that had nothing to do with my clothes or makeup or the way I presented to the world. For those hours, I wasn't Jerry Parker, the failing engineering student who didn't fit anywhere. I was just someone Cameron wanted. Afterward, we lay in his bed not talking. His arm around my shoulders. My head on his chest. The comfortable silence of people who just shared something intimate. That's when he ruined it. So like, are you trans? Or just like really into the feminine thing? The question felt like cold water. Like being reminded I was a curiosity instead of a person. I'm a femboy, I said carefully. I identify as male. I just express myself this way. Right. Yeah. That's cool. He shifted slightly. Put distance between us that felt bigger than the physical space. I've never been with a guy before. You're like, the exception. The exception. As if being with me didn't count. As if I was diet homosexuality. All the experience without the commitment to actually examining what it meant. What made me the exception? I asked even though I didn't want the answer. I don't know. You're like, not really a guy, you know? You're more, in between. There it was. The thing I'd been waiting for since he first called me beautiful. The revelation that Cameron didn't actually see me. He saw a fantasy. A safe way to experiment without having to call himself bisexual or gay or anything that might complicate his understanding of himself. I got dressed while he watched. Put my armor back on. The crop top. The jeans. The eyeliner that was probably smudged, but I didn't care. Are you leaving? Cameron sounded confused. Like I was breaking some unspoken rule. I have class early, I lied. Can I get your number? Maybe we could do this again. I looked at him. Really looked. Saw a man who wanted to keep me as his secret. His exception. His way of exploring his sexuality without having to own what that exploration meant. I don't think that's a good idea. I left before he could argue. The walk home took 20 minutes. Long enough to replay every moment. Every word. Every touch that had felt real until Cameron reminded me it wasn't. Samuel was asleep when I got back. I washed off my makeup. Changed into sweatpants. Lay in bed trying to figure out what I was feeling. Angry. Definitely angry. At Cameron for seeing me as a convenient experiment. At myself for hoping it could be different. At the whole fucked up dynamic where femboys exist in this space between acceptable and not. Where we're fetishized but not taken seriously. Desired but not loved. Beautiful but not real. The next weeks were harder than they should have been. I kept checking my phone hoping Cameron would text even though I hadn't given him my number. Kept looking for him on campus, even though I didn't actually want to see him. Kept replaying that night, trying to find the moment where I could have changed the outcome. But there wasn't one. Because the outcome was predetermined the second Cameron decided I was beautiful instead of handsome. The second he saw me as an exception instead of a person. I'm writing this 3 months later. Haven't seen Cameron since that night. Haven't gone back to Neon Dreams. Haven't let anyone get close enough to make the same mistake. That's the thing they don't tell you about being a femboy in the dating world. You're everybody's fantasy and nobody's boyfriend. You're the experiment. The exception. The story guys tell their friends when they want to sound open-minded without actually having to examine their sexuality. And the worst part? I participated in it. Went home with Cameron knowing exactly what he saw when he looked at me, hoping that maybe this time would be different. That maybe being called beautiful would be enough. It wasn't. What I learned is that being someone's exception doesn't make you special. It makes you a loophole. A way for them to explore without commitment. A safe space to be curious without consequences. I deserve better than that. We all do. Every femboy who's been told they're beautiful then treated like a secret. Every person who exists outside traditional masculinity and gets punished for it. Every human being who dares to be themselves and gets reduced to a fetish. Cameron taught me that one-night stands aren't worth it if you're just someone's experiment. That being desired isn't the same as being valued. That I'd rather be alone than be someone's exception. So here I am. Still a femboy. Still wearing crop tops and eyeliner. Still confusing people who need gender to be simple. Still existing in this complicated space between masculine and feminine that makes sense to me, even if it makes no sense to anyone else. But I'm not anyone's exception anymore. I'm not the experiment that doesn't count. I'm not the beautiful boy who makes straight guys feel adventurous. I'm Jerry Parker, 21 years old, failing engineering, loving fashion, existing as myself in a world that hasn't figured out how to handle people like me yet. And when someone calls me beautiful now, I ask what they mean by it. Ask if they see me or just their fantasy. Ask if I'm an exception or if they're ready to examine what their attraction actually means. Most guys don't have good answers. That's okay. It saves us both time. Maybe someday I'll meet someone who sees me as a person instead of a category. Someone who calls me beautiful because I am. Not because I'm different. Not because I'm an exception. Just because I exist as myself and that's enough. Until then I'll keep being me. Keep confusing people who need simple answers. Keep existing in this space that makes me happy even when it makes everyone else uncomfortable. Because one night with Cameron taught me something valuable. Being someone's exception isn't freedom. It's just a prettier cage. And I'd rather be alone and real than desired and performing. If you enjoyed this story, you can find more like it in my Femboy and Cross-Dressing Stories bundle. 5 complete stories available now on Amazon for just $4.99. Until next time, keep exploring, feeling, and becoming who you are.